Hey guys, what's happening? If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you can catch the new spills every week. And don't forget to hit that bell up top so you're notified when a new video comes out and we can squad up for the first hour. Alright, so very recently I did a video about Black Panther and his different suits and his different armors, and I did a breakdown of how they work, and a lot of that explanation really highlighted on the amount of technology that Wakanda was able to produce because of their possession of the rare mineral Vibranium. And in the past we discussed the properties of Vibranium, how it absorbs momentum, dampening the damage that may be taken, or even on a microscopic level, absorbing the energy or movement that is produced that would only make sound, and how that would allow even the most basic forms of the Black Panther costume to be super stealthy and harder to detect by the sound of his movement alone. Because after all, sound is movement or energy, and instead of us being able to hear it, the Vibranium is just absorbing it. And so after talking about all these properties that Vibranium was capable of as far as absorbing energy, being able to use that energy into a power source, or even being able to transfer from a solid object into pure energy. So what I wanted to do on top of that is talk about the spiritual significance of Vibranium to the Wakandan people, and also try to answer the question of, is Vibranium magical, like the literal mineral itself? So now Vibranium doesn't produce magic, but it is capable of amplifying mystical energies. And I noticed that some people try to compare it to or relate it to Uru metal, which is a metal that can actually store magic, like for example Thor's hammer, which contains a spell that has trapped the ancient god Tempest that Odin has defeated so many years ago. So while Uru metal can contain magic, which we've usually seen put on armor and put in weapons, and even how Iron Man had it molded around his armor in order to merge his technology with Asgardian magic. But with Vibranium, it doesn't quite work that way because it's able to amplify a frequency of energy on a quantum level. And how with most energy or momentum Vibranium will just absorb, this quantum energy just passes through and is amplified. And generally when this happens, the mineral itself, Vibranium, is very unstable. And even with Wakanda being highly advanced, they've never mastered the ability of actually being able to use magically charged Vibranium. And for a short time, like back in 2010 in Doom War, we saw Dr. Doom achieve this. He combined Vibranium with quantum science, and this amplification made him crazy powerful. Because for as long as Doom has been Doom, he's always combined science with magic. But when he got his hands on Vibranium, he nearly became godlike. Because using the Vibranium with quantum technology also allowed him to connect with the residual trace particles from the original meteor that had landed in Wakanda. And this gave him crazy power. His magic was amplified and he was connected to all the Vibranium. But still, even with all that power, he was defeated by T'Challa, who sent out a signal that rendered all the Vibranium that he was using null and useless. And I believe that this vulnerability in Doom's plan is one of the reasons why Black Panther didn't use this form of technology in this exact type of implementation. Because when T'Challa mentioned before that Wakanda has never mastered the usage of magically charged Vibranium, that doesn't mean that they didn't know anything about it. He was mainly saying that there's a rather large limitation to the way that they implement it as far as Wakandan technology goes. And I do believe this is something we'll possibly see in the future, and it might take the combination of Uru metal combined with Vibranium in order to pull it off. Because I feel like that's the only way to truly keep it stable without having such a huge flaw of somebody sending a simple signal to it that'll just render it useless. And that may be something that we see later on in Marvel Legacy, who knows. But to elaborate more on Vibranium tapping into the quantum realm, I want to go all the way back to the origin of Vibranium. And so with Marvel Legacy being in the world that's post-Secret Wars, Vibranium is back in full effect, Black Panther even has his own planet now, I just have to put out there that some parts of his origin might be retconned. Because originally when the meteor Vibranium landed, Bashinga discovered it, he nurtured the nation with it, and he protected it from outsiders who wanted to come in and steal it. But the most important aspect of why he became a Black Panther is also tied into that Vibranium. Because originally this meteor landed 10,000 years ago, and Bashinga wasn't a Black Panther, he was really just said to be your bravest and greatest warrior in Wakanda at the time. And so when this mound that landed, when it cooled down, he went to go check it out. And eventually the people from Wakanda, they will mine from the mineral because of the properties that they noticed it had at the time. They thought it would be useful for weapons. But it was also noticed early on that Vibranium also gave off a radiation. And in my opinion, that is huge to Wakandan history because everyone reacted to this radiation differently. Some seemed unaffected, some people would get sick, but some were physically mutated into demon-like creatures. And at this point, we really don't know if they're totally throwing this out the window. Me personally, I hope that they don't, because I think it's a great backstory about a nation that was divided on the same day they received this mineral that would make them the most powerful in the world. And on top of that, these people who are mutated by the Vibranium, they're the reason why Bashenga went to Bast and he became the first Black Panther. And Bast is essentially where the Black Panthers get their speed, their quickness, their enhanced agility, and it was with this help from Bast that they were able to fight off these mutated people. And so because of this, I have a few theories about Vibranium and the radiation that comes from it. And my first theory is on the heart-shaped herb. And now this herb is a mutated plant that was created as a byproduct of the Vibranium meteor. And when any Black Panther consumes this herb, their powers are enhanced even more. And that's mainly because of the radiation carrying the same properties of the Vibranium mineral itself. So with Vibranium being able to amplify magic and a connection to the quantum realm, it would in turn also amplify the power of any Black Panther because it would be amplifying their connection to Bast. And so similar with Bashenga, how he wasn't harmed or mutated like some of the others from his tribe were, that radiation that didn't affect him by being airborne had a different effect when he consumed it with a heart-shaped herb. And so for my next theory, I want to take a little bit further and talk about those who are mutated by the radiation. And most of their history is real short. We're just told that they turned into evil spirits and they attacked their friends and neighbors. But in this instance, I believe that their mutation had an actual connection with spirits that would manifest in them physically. And I say this because of Vibranium being able to amplify this connection with the quantum realm. I believe that certain entities and deities would use this like a two-way door, because the same radiation manipulated a troop of gorillas, converting their DNA and transforming them into albino white apes. And whoever ate the flesh of these albino apes, they would also inherit great power, and that power which they would obtain from the ape god, which is very similar to the way Bast would use the heart-shaped herb to strengthen the connection to the Black Panther. And just by going by the history alone, it seems a lot like these deities and these spirits, they would use the properties of the Vibranium as a two-way door in order to get done what they want as well. And now when I say all of this and I mention that I don't know if they're throwing it all out the window or not, it's mainly because one, now in Marvel Legacy, the first Black Panther was here 1,000,000 years ago instead of 10,000 years ago. And when Marvel puts out like issues pertaining to Marvel Legacy and it tells us about things that are going to happen and how the universe is lining up, they also put out little individual issues that catch us up on the particular characters or the particular teams. And as of right now, we really don't know what this time displacement is going to do to the Black Panther character. Because they may take the same history and origin that we got back in 1978 and just push it back like 1,000,000 years, and that'll probably tie into the whole explanation of Wakanda being so advanced and clarify a lot of the questions of where T'Challa appeared from Secret Wars, kicking off Wakanda with their new space exploration at the time. Because we know he landed in Wakanda, but the year that he arrived and the relation to that in the first Black Panther, which is in 1,000,000 BC now, is still kind of a mystery. So hopefully we get that cleared up. But one last thing I want to mention also about Vibranium and its radiation taking effects on other species. Like, we also saw this take place in Captain Marvel issue number 5. And in this issue, Carol Danvers is on the planet Torfa, or Torfa, however you say it. But either way, on this planet you had miners who were mining minerals, or as most would call this metal, because Vibranium is very similar to metal, or at least in its raw form. And many of these miners were taken sick, like greatly ill, and in some cases dying. And this sickness was considered an archaic miner's disease. Like, it had been around 100 years since anybody had taken ill from this. And it was seemingly for this reason that Torfa was considered a poison planet, quote unquote, when actually that was just a name given by the Spartax Empire because they wanted them to evacuate so they can take all the Vibranium for themselves. And Captain Marvel, she intervened because she didn't want any casualties in this instance. Like, the window of time they were given was way too small to get everybody off, and the Spartax gave orders really to evacuate those who were uninfected and just leave everybody else to die. Which is a very harsh order, but the main thing that raised a lot of suspicion and gave away the fact that there was something immensely valuable on that planet was the fact that they're willing to fight an Avenger in order to get everybody off of that planet. But another interesting fact in that same issue is we see the full power of Captain Marvel versus Vibranium. And in this issue, we have Carol Danvers, who has a piece of the Vibranium, and through a number of different attempts, she cannot destroy it. And this piece that she has is like the raw mineral itself. She throws that at a building, it goes right through it, even making it form a crater in the ground. And when she picks it up, it's unscratched. And after that, she even hits it with a photonic blast, and still nothing happens. And this is not to say that Vibranium is indestructible, because we've seen it destroyed in many cases, whether it was T'Challa's suit being torn or the Hulk breaking through an armor that was made of Vibranium. Either way, we've been given examples that it can be broken, but this is more of an example of how durable it is in its purest form. But the question of whether Captain Marvel's photonic blast passed through or was absorbed by the Vibranium is something that still remains to be known. But alright guys, that'll do it for this one. Once again, if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you can catch the new spills every week. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up so I know. But aside from that, hit me up in the comments. Let me know you guys' thoughts about the effects of Vibranium and the different effects that it has on people and the way that it amplifies magic. Personally, I hope that they show us sometime in the future the relation to the planet Torfa and the planet Bast, because I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that Bast has Vibranium on it. And also that the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda can access Torfa and study their Vibranium as well. Because as it seems to be the same as Wakandan Vibranium and not Antarctic Vibranium, because it has the properties of Wakandan Vibranium, but it seems a lot more durable. But either way, I'll keep my ear to the street and let you guys know. I got links up for other videos you guys can check out, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Alright, later.